Alright, so today I've got another NPC AC improvement build video for you, and today, of course, it is G1 Michigan's LIGER Town. Before we go any further, I just want to mention that if you want to see an extended gameplay demonstration, if you want to see the rest of the gameplay that's shown in the intro here, it'll be at the end of the video from now on. Had a couple people request this. I already record a full mission for the build for the intro anyways, right? So there's no reason for me not to include it. So if you want to see the rest of the gameplay footage, you can go check that out at the end of the video. It'll be timestamped, of course. Now, getting into it, G1 Michigan's LIGER Tail, right? It's actually a pretty solid build, especially weapon-wise already. And in fact, you'll notice I only make one small tweak to his weapons, and it's more of a personal preference than actual improvements, so to speak. Specifically, I changed the missile pods to a different type of missile pods, because I feel like his missile pods just take too long to lock on for my personal taste. You could leave it with what he has if you're fine with it, right? Now, his main issue is actually just his AC is just too slow to really make the most out of his weapons, right? It just isn't fast enough to do what you want to do with it, especially with the explosive thrower. It just doesn't have very much range. So you do want to be pretty close combat with his AC, right? And unfortunately, again, his AC is just really slow and has bad quick boosts. It just can't really do that very well, right? So the main focus of the build for improvements is just going to be changing out his frame and his internals to make his, his actual AC work better with his weapons. Faster, better quick boosts, stuff like that, right? And like I said, just by default, it's a pretty solid build. And actually, after improving it, it's a really, really good build. It's a ton of fun to play. It actually made me really appreciate the explosive throwers, especially since they pair it pairs really well with the songbirds. They work together really well. They're both high direct damage, high impact, like ACS build-up dealing weapons. So you can actually use one for getting the stagger and use the other for dealing direct damage. You're not really making a big loss either way, right? They're excellent weapons. They work really, really, really well together. And I've actually become a really big fan of them. Again, especially the explosive thrower. I love that thing now. But yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and get into the details. And again, remember, if you want to see the rest of the gameplay footage, it'll be at the end of the video. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, I've only made one small tweak to his weapon loadout, and of course it is the missile pod. I currently have the 10-cell missile launcher from Furlong Dynamics, and he originally uses the 2-cell 8-way split missile launcher, which is also Furlong Dynamics. But personally, this missile launcher just for me just has too long of a lock-on time. And it just feels a little bit less consistent to me as well compared to this one, which has slightly better guidance, and again, has a much faster lock-on time of 0.8 seconds instead of this one's 2 seconds, right? So that's really a personal preference, I would say, anyways, right? So you could leave it with his original if you want. This is a pretty solid weapon loadout all around, right? It works together really well. Like I mentioned, especially the songbirds, the explosive thrower work together excellently. So not really too much to say here. And of course, the minigun is fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's pretty good. It does good, consistent impact damage, good ACS build-up. So yeah, pretty solid weapon loadout all around. Just one small change for my own personal preference that you can leave alone if you really want to. Now, getting to the frames is where we have the real big changes, right? So starting with the head, I didn't change the head, nothing really to change there. But for the core and the arms, I switched from the regular Maelander pieces that he normally uses to the Maelander C3s because they're lighter and faster, right? Because again, the main issue with his build is just too slow, right? Too slow and a quick boost suck too much. And for that same reason, although I'm sure he wouldn't be particularly fond of the idea, I switched to the Archivist developed tetrapod legs, the VP424 legs. I definitely had to keep him on 4 legs, of course, because he's the hell on 4 legs. So, had to keep him on a tetrapod. But unfortunately, this one, especially combined with heavier parts, is just really slow. Even just switching to this, it goes all the way up to 0.76 from the 0.67. Is really heavy, right? And it slows him down a lot. So I'm giving him the lighter tetrapod legs and really give him that mobility that he really, really desperately needs, right? And again, just basically just making him lighter. Not really too much to say. I didn't want to change to a different series because it didn't really need to, right? I just gave him the lighter Maelander parts, right? That's pretty much all there is to say about the frame. Again, just needed to make him lighter. And getting into his internals, first we had the NGI 001 boosters. I remember what he has on originally, but these are essentially the best heavyweight boosters, right? Literally any other boosters drastically increases the quick boost time, right? The quick boost delay time. Because these are basically the only real choice, in my opinion, for the boosters here. Again, these are just really good boosters all around. It gave you a really long boost, even though their default quick burst for load time is pretty long. You have a, again, really, really long boost, right? So yeah, excellent boosters. Really the only choice because of just how heavy the build is, even though I've lightened it up significantly, right? Now for the FCS, I don't remember what it has on originally, but I have changed it to the Talbot. I know, I get it, I use it in everything, but once again, good close range, good medium range, and decent missile walk on. It is what it is. It is the way to go, especially now with a heavier focus on being close range. I believe he has something like this, or maybe this for his original FCS. But again, with a heavier focus on close range combat, you really want that close range assist. Just to, you know, be a bit more aim faster and whatnot. Definitely a pretty big improvement. And then finally for the generator, he originally does use the Santai, I believe. I think it's the Santai at least. But basically, one of the big reasons here, we just needed to cut off more weight, to be frank. I also think the parts did put him in an energy shortfall anyways. So, but even aside from that, just needed to cut off weight. And obviously the NGI 000 generator was the way to go there. Not too much to say about it. Again, it also with the part changes, it just literally doesn't have enough energy to, you know, for the build to run. So the coral generator is the only option here, realistically, right? I mean, there are of course a couple that do work, but and it's significant maximum energy trade-off. And personally, I think the tetrapod legs work really well with the coral booster in general. So coral booster was, or the coral generator, I mean, it was kind of the obvious choice. And then I also decided to change it to expansion. He normally uses pulse protection, I believe. I mean, I think pulse protection sucks. So give him assault armor instead. Give him the offensive option. You give him more damage output. Turn him into a true hell on 4 legs. And yeah, that's about all there is to say about the build. Now, normally this is where the video would end, and I guess it's technically still ending, but after I get done saying what I'm going to say, you can check out the rest of the gameplay footage. But as always, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one.
Go, go, go! Follow Michigan!
Give the Liger tail some cover!
Time to finish the job, 621. Don't let them overwhelm you. Shake off the pressure. Those of you who approve, keep your lousy asses low. You're gonna need more training. Put that in your diaries. Sir, I'm a useless maggot, sir! If it isn't Osama, a resident mathematician. Go multiply your rifle training and see if you can learn to do something useful. How can one merc do this alone? SHQ needs your help with the math, Hassan. Think we can add numbers? 2 repair kits remaining. Left shoulder ammunition at 50%. Maggots. Degrade me. You can tell this twister. Mean old Michigan died up there.
Liger's are destroyed. Gun 1 Michigan, down. That leaves the MTs to take care of. You gotta be kidding. Not Michigan!
Give it as good as he got. We can still win this.
5th wave, they're surging us.
Light shoulder ammunition at 50%. Left-hand ammunition at 50%.
Destroyed.
Right-hand ammunition at 10%. AP at 30%. 1 repair kit remaining.
The Valen MT force has been destroyed. Mission accomplished.
holding out, 621. Our work here is done.